Hi, I'm Emily. Welcome to episode 2 of Holding the Sticks, a hockey themed fiber arts podcast. Hi there, and welcome, like I said, to Holding the Sticks. My name is Emily, and I'll be your host today. I'm also known as Shanti Dragon on Ravelry and Emily3022 on Twitter. I have a Plurk account that I haven't used in quite a while. I may test the waters and peek back in there sometime this week, and I am Emily3022 on Plurk as well. So let's get into the introduction part of the show. I wanted to mention about iTunes this week. I am working on getting my podcast onto iTunes. I know a lot of you like to subscribe to your podcasts on that service, so I am working on it. Obviously, my podcast is hosted on YouTube, and I am reading and finding out that YouTube and iTunes do not work well together. So I am going to look into some other hosting, possibly with Podbean or with Blip, and I will do that after the holidays to see if I can't get that set up. My files are too big to work with their free accounts at this point, so yeah, I don't need to be spending any extra money till after the holidays. It's not a huge amount of money or anything, but every little bit counts during the holidays. So I am working on it. I hope y'all will stick with me until I get that worked out. Another thing I wanted to mention was for those of you who want to skip portions of this podcast, if you look in my show notes, there are timestamps on each title for each period. So each section of the podcast, at the beginning, at the heading of each section in my show notes has the start time, so that if you just want to watch certain parts of the podcast, you can fast forward to those parts easily. So hopefully that will make things a little easier for y'all. And last but not least, I really wanted to put some thank yous out there for the podcasters who have mentioned Holding the Sticks in their podcasts. I know for sure that Carolyn of Girlfriends Knitting has done so. Thank you so much, Carolyn. You've been so gracious. You were the one who inspired me to start the podcast. I'd been thinking about it for a while, but then when we all chipped in to help cheer you up during your hard time recently, I had so much fun doing my little mini podcasts for you that I decided I would take the plunge. So thanks so much, and thank you for letting me have a little thread in your podcast group, the Girlfriends Knitting group, until I get my group set up on Ravelry. I should have that done possibly by the end of the day, surely by the end of the week. So thanks so much. And also, I know Dawn of Wolf Farms has mentioned me on her podcast. Thank you so much, Dawn. You're so sweet to do that. I haven't seen that episode yet. In fact, I think I'm 2 episodes behind now on your podcast, but I hope to get caught up later today or tomorrow. So thank you again. And if you've mentioned me and I didn't thank you, I am very thankful to you. I am just very far behind on my podcasts at the moment for watching them. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the first period. All right, let's get right into the first period here and a little bit of developing play. For stick handling, I have put Nidaria and the Fair Isle Mittens on the bench for the week. They didn't see any action at all, so you won't see those this week. But I did start a new project, another Christmas present. It's that time of year. This is a hat for my brother-in-law. So Warren, I doubt you're watching, but if you are watching, you might want to look away unless you don't mind being spoiled for your surprise. He asked me for this hat, so it's not really that much of a surprise, but I guess just the colors and everything, the design will be a surprise. So I am knitting for him the Turn a Square hat by Jared Flood. And It's using Peyton's Classic Wool in the dark gray mix colorway, and the stripes on it are the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. It was some leftovers from a scarf I made several years ago, so I don't remember the colorway, but it is the reddest red I could find at the time on the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes line. So, without further ado, here is the Turn a Square hat so far. Here we go. Warren is a big fan of red, so that's why I've got some red in there. There you go. So I am just going to do the 3 stripes there at the bottom, and then the rest of the hat will be gray. And I know that kind of defeats the purpose of Turn a Square because the decreases at the top make it look square and it's really cool, but I just thought that he would like a less stripy hat. And Warren is a welder, so he gets pretty dirty during doing his work, so he wanted dark colors. Hopefully he doesn't mind that little pop of red in there. Red is his favorite color, so I hope he won't mind that. And that's actually all I have on my needles right now. I've been very monogamous, you know, trying to get those holiday knits done. So, for Spinorama, I actually did some spinning this week. I'm so happy. It wasn't a whole lot, but I finished another skein of the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes roving for the sweater I'm spinning for. And this is, like I said, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes roving in the Merlot color. And here's the skein I finished. I had some trouble with this one. You'll see little things sticking off the end here and there. I think maybe because what I did was I spun the single, and then right away I got the other 2 plies, and I plied them together to make a 3-ply. And that single that I had just spun obviously didn't get to rest at all, and it was giving me trouble and twisting back on itself while I was trying to spin. I don't have a tensioned Lazy Kate, I just have the one that's built into my spinning wheel. So there's a little close-up of the color. It's a real pretty heathered red-brown. So I've got 5 more of these to go, and then I will do the washing and the thwacking, and then I will have enough yarn to knit a sweater out of hand spun, and I'm so excited about that prospect. Not getting a whole lot of time to work on this right now because of the holidays, but that's okay. There's plenty of time after the holidays for all of that. So, let's see here. That's it for works in progress. So now we're on to She Shoots, She Scores! Woo! Alright. This week, it was very exciting, I tell you. I finished 10, count them 10 dishcloths. Now Anna, my sister, who may be watching, if you don't want to see your dishcloths, I know you know they're coming, but if you don't want to see them, then look away or skip on to the next section if you want to. So I'm going to show these real quick. These are just the grandmother's favorite dishcloths. I knit them with a size 7 needle. I didn't mention the needle size on the other projects, but I usually use the size listed in the pattern. My gauge is usually pretty close to what's listed on the patterns. So I may or may not mention my needle sizes. Everybody's gauge is different anyway, so what I use may not be what you use, but you know, it gives you an idea of what possibly what needle you might need. But anyway, if Anna is looking away, I will show my 10 finished grandmother's favorite dishcloths. I did all of these in peaches and cream, except for one, and this is made with Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton. It's something I've had in my stash forever. So there's that one. Christmassy colors. I don't know all the colorways on my peaches and cream because a lot of it was just in my stash, but I'm sure if you go you'll be able to recognize them in the store. So here's another one. And another one. I told y'all this was going to be really exciting. And another one. Anna likes her dishcloths to be kind of small. She uses them for napkins, and she likes to keep a very green household and use as little disposable items as possible. So she doesn't use a lot of paper towels or anything like that. And here's another one. Here's another one. And this is actually not peaches and cream. As far as I know, this was a mill end. And when this one is washed, it looks red and green in this shot, or I hope it does. Yeah, it looks red and green. It will fade the first time it's washed and look more like an Easter dishcloth, or light pink and light green. But it's real pretty either way. And there's a stripy one. And another one of these. And one more. So, does that count as 10? 10 finished objects for me? Or is that just one big finished object for me? I don't know. But I'm glad they're done, and I will probably do a few more of those before all is said and done. So, the other thing I wanted to show y'all, in She Shoots, She Scores, is the kitchen items that I knit for my other sister, Laura. And I realized that I did take pictures of those before I sent them off. So I'll do a little slideshow here in just a second to show you those items. She requested red items, so I incorporated red into all of them and had a good time knitting those for her. Hope they're serving her well in her new kitchen. So let's go on and get on into the second period. Alright, second period. It's time to hit the training room. This week in the training room, I'm going to talk a little bit about fitness and a little bit about self-care for fiber artists. So I had a very exciting week for myself on the fitness front. I am not really focused on weight loss, but I weighed in last week and weighed in under 160 pounds for the first time in about 10 years. I was so proud and happy, and I feel great. Like I said, I'm not real focused on the pounds that come off. I'm more focused on my overall health. But I just wanted to share that with y'all because I'm just pretty proud about it, and I'm just happy that my lifestyle changes are sticking. It's been nearly a year since I started this journey. I started back in late February of 2012, so I've got a couple more months to go before I hit a year. But it's not a hardship for me to do what I'm doing, and that's why I'm so excited, because I think I've made changes that are going to stick. So I'm still working on it. I'm certainly not perfect. For my height, 160 pounds is still overweight. In fact, it's almost in the obese scale on the BMI chart. But don't get me started on BMI charts. I'm not a fan. Anyway, so I wanted to give you a tip for fitness. Back last February when I started this, the thing that really helped me is that I started small. Now, I'm the kind of person that if you make all the changes all at once, I'll be gung-ho about it for a week or two, and then I'm just like, forget it, I'm done. I can't do this forever. So literally the first thing I did when I started this was I signed up on Spark People. I don't use the website much anymore, but I highly recommend it for if you're getting started. Some people use it all through their fitness journeys, but for me, I just used it at first. I started tracking what I was eating. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. What a pain. It is a pain. I'll tell you what, it really, it takes time, and it's not, Spark People makes it as easy as it can be, but it takes a lot of time and some effort. And you've got to, everything that went in my mouth, I would put into Spark People, and they would give me back the calories and the nutritional information. I didn't change anything at first about what I was eating. I just put the information in. And that way it gave me a baseline to start knowing where I needed to make improvements. I was surprised to find that some days I was eating way more calories than I should, and other days I was eating way less. So that taught me I needed to balance that out a little bit. It taught me that I was eating way too much sodium, which was confirmed later by my doctor when I got that high blood pressure diagnosis. It showed me that I wasn't getting enough potassium and a few other vitamins. It's a very, very useful tool. The second thing that I did, and I believe I started this at the same time as I started tracking my food before I made any changes. The second thing I did was to start doing a 10-minute workout at least 3 times a week. Now, for those of you who are further along in your fitness journey, that sounds like nothing. But let me tell you, when you've been sitting on the couch for several years, and, I personally have dealt with trouble with depression and things like that, 10 minutes is a start, and that's the important thing. For me, when I would think of, I have to get up and go do something I don't want to do for an hour or even a half an hour, it was a barrier to me. I didn't want to do it. But when I thought, okay, I'm going to get up and do something I don't want to do for 10 minutes, that's a lot more doable to me. So that really helped me. And Spark People has a bunch of videos, like 10-minute workout videos or 10-minute workouts that you can do. And I was working in a different place then, and I would actually do my little 10 minutes at work sometimes because it got real slow in the wintertime in the place where I used to work. So you can fit it in the morning, in the evening, 10 minutes. You can much more easily fit 10 minutes in than you can half an hour. And when you start to do that, for me anyway, it helped me to realize that this wasn't a horrible thing to have to get up and work out. So after I got used to the 10 minutes, I was like, well, maybe I can do 15, And eventually I started doing the Couch to 5K program, and that starts out about a 25 minutes workout. So it was a nice little introduction to working out. Now I'm up to working out a half hour or an hour most days, and it's nothing to me now. It's like brushing my teeth. But when you're first getting started, it's not easy to just jump in there. Plus, when you've been sitting on the couch for a year, 10-minute workout, you're going to be sore the next day. So I know that sounds pathetic, but it's true. And I know it well. So that's it for my little tip. Start small. And I had another little tip. Reward yourself. Think of things to reward yourself with that are not food. And that brings me to the shawlette that I'm wearing today. When I first started out, I said if I do all of my fitness and track all of my food for about a month, I think it was a month for this one, then I will buy myself the pattern and the yarn to make this Piper's Journey. And this was designed by Paula of the Knitting Pipeline. I'll link to it in my show notes. I love this shawlette. I had never ordered from Quince & Company before. I used the yarn called for in the pattern by Quince & Company. And I've never done that before. And this yarn is just scrumptious. I love it. So that was a great thing. Before I would reward myself with candy bars or a dinner out or something like that. but instead it worked for me to wait a little bit longer and spend a little bit more on my reward. And it really did motivate me because I really wanted to make this shawlette. So that's it for the fitness tip. And I wanted to talk a little bit about repetitive stress injuries. Not really about that, but more about the time of year that it is. And I know that knitters are really knitting a lot right now. Well, not all knitters. I know some people don't do Christmas knitting, but those of us who do are kind of on the production line right now. We're trying to get all of those projects done, and maybe knitting for longer at a stretch than we should. I know that I am. So I just wanted to encourage you as a massage therapist to listen to your body. If your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, your fingers start to hurt, put down the knitting needles, put down the crochet hook, stop the spinning for a while and do something else. Ideally, you don't want to get to the point where it hurts. Ideally, you want to build in a break. I wouldn't sit and knit for longer than an hour. I've actually been known to set a timer for myself. 20 minutes is ideal, to knit for 20 minutes and then get up and do something else for a while. Come back and knit for 20 minutes, do something else for a while. But this time of year, it winds up being more like an hour. You need to give your muscles some time to rest and recover. And otherwise, you can wind up with repetitive stress injuries that are difficult to heal and take a lot of time to heal. You don't want that. That's no fun at all. I've dealt with that many times personally and had to work with clients through that. It's no fun. So make sure you're taking care of yourself while you're sitting and knitting all of those holiday gifts, or if you're just sitting and knitting for yourself. I know sometimes I get carried away just knitting for myself because it's so enjoyable. So I hope you enjoyed that second period, and let's get on into the third. Alright, time to drop the puck for the third period and a little bit of hockey talk. It's been quite a week as far as NHL hockey goes. We were very hopeful at the beginning of the week. Tuesday and Wednesday, the players were meeting with the owners without any of the big head honchos, Gary Bettman and the Fears. I don't know how to say his name. I've heard it said so many times. I've heard it said fear. I've heard it said fair. Maybe I should just pronounce it in a southern way. I'll just call them Farr. The Farr brothers. They were not there in the meetings. Things seemed to be getting done. The players and the owners seemed optimistic, and then they called the bigwigs back in again. And it still looked like things were going to go good. I went to work Thursday morning, hopeful that maybe by the time I got home from work, the lockout would be over. I started thinking, I'm going to have to get some confetti and like do a happy dance on my podcast if this actually happens. I started to really think, and I even wore my Carolina Hurricanes t-shirt to bed on Wednesday night because I was so hopeful and excited. You see, I'm not wearing any NHL gear, or I have a jersey and a t-shirt. I'm not wearing any of that stuff until the lockout is over. It's my small way of protesting. There's not much we as fans can do. But anyway, by the time I got home from work on Thursday, the rumors were flying that things maybe weren't going so well, and by Thursday night, the CBA talks had completely broken down again. And there were accusations flying, there was flouncing that would have made, you remember the old Remnants, the old Remnants group in Ravelry, where there was a lot of flouncing, would have fit in well there. It was ridiculous. And, I have a question for you, my viewers. How do we as fans handle this? We're obviously, if you're watching this, you're probably a hockey fan, or you're just interested in it, or you're just putting up with my blabbering. But what do? The lockout will eventually end, I would assume, and when it does, do we come back and prove to them that they can do what they want and still get their fans back, or do we continue to boycott the NHL and try to make a point and put the teams that we love in jeopardy? Because in the market that I live in, the Carolina Hurricanes are doing pretty well financially, but it's a smaller market team, and it's not going to take much to push that team over the edge of financial ruin. And then you think about the arena workers and the restaurants around the arena that depend on NHL hockey for their living. Why would we want to punish them for something that they didn't have any control over? So I'm really torn, personally, as to how do I handle this when the lockout ends. Of course, I want to jump right back in. I'm a huge hockey fan. I love my Carolina Hurricanes. Have my favorite players. Adore the coach, the whole organization for the most part. At least before the lockout, I was pretty proud of the whole organization. They've done some things since the lockout that I'm not so proud of. But, I want to jump back in and be the fan that I was, but how is that going to help this not happen again in the future? And I know this is just a first world problem. It's just a game. But for those of us who are big hockey fans, it's been a pretty big void to fill during this lockout. My mom started watching soccer. The horror! Now don't get mad at me. There's nothing wrong with soccer. I used to play when I was in junior high, and I loved it. And I do enjoy watching a soccer game from time to time. But it's not hockey. And if you knew my mom, you would say the same thing. She's watching soccer. It's not right. But anyway, I'd like to hear your opinions on that. As far as my Charlotte Checkers go, we had a real rough time. We've had a really long homestand, and usually hockey teams usually play better at home, just like any other sport. The Checkers had a 5-game losing streak that they finally ended last Thursday night. And by the way, Justin Falk, with his big ugly wound, was back on the ice with the Checkers on Thursday night. I knew he would be. He's a tough kid. And the guys, they always say when they lose teeth or whatever during a game and come right back out to play the next shift, they're like, well, it's my teeth. It doesn't affect my legs. So, yeah, there you go. Justin Falk was back. But anyway, he came back Thursday night. They lost that game. They finally won a game on Friday night. And when the Checkers win, the next day we get half-price Papa John's pizza if you order online and put a little code in. Well, it just figures. I've been waiting for weeks to get some half-price Papa John's pizza. Checkers finally won on Friday night. The same day, our Papa John's pizza caught on fire. Nobody was hurt, thank goodness. And I really feel for those people who are out of a job for a while. I don't know how long Papa John's will be closed, but it just figures. I guess I didn't need that pizza anyway, but the day the Checkers finally win, the pizza is no longer available. Oh well. I just love their garlic sauce, don't you? So, they won a game, and then Sunday they lost a game. So hopefully the Checkers will get back on their game a little bit and win some games here soon. I'm not sure what's going on. It's really hard to tell by listening to a game how the team is playing. I know there's been some really bright spots, some amazing saves by our goalies, amazing goals by our skaters. But at the same time, it's hard to know the energy of the team without actually watching. And like I said, I usually listen to these games. They're not televised. So if I do want to watch a game, and I do occasionally, if I want to watch a game, it has to be on AHL Live, which is you pay by game. Actually, we bought a little package, so we've got a few games left. But when you're having to shell out money for each game to watch it, and you're paying for cable, and, I'm about to cancel that because I never watch TV anyway except for hockey, and there is no hockey on TV. But anyway, it's hard to know what the problem is without seeing it. And I'm hoping to get down there to watch a game soon, or maybe go see them when they play in Raleigh. Go see my mom and watch that game with her. So that's it for the hockey talk for today. And let's get into some post-game chatter. All right, let's get into some post-game chatter. I've had a really great week for the most part. I've got my cup of tea here. I hope I didn't already mention this before. I had to do a couple of takes on that first part of the podcast, but I have some apricot green tea in my little butterfly teacup. Actually, I brewed a whole pot this morning, which I don't do really often, but there's the pot right there. A good friend of mine gave this to me when I was in massage school, so it makes me happy to think of her when I sip my tea. So, last week I mentioned that I was going to go to a Christmas party with my husband last Tuesday. I did that. I was proud of myself. I got myself all dressed up, and we went to the Fancy Schmancy restaurant in Blowing Rock and met with his cycling club. Not his cycling club, but the cycling club that he's a member of. And, I did okay. We met up with some friends. That was so pleasant to see Lauren and Alex. And I saw some other people that I wasn't expecting to see, and that was super nice too. But for the most part, it was a very loud party. I mean, it wasn't loud music or anything, just the number of people in a small space. The conversation was extremely loud, and I don't do so well with that. But, so I can't say that, yay, I enjoyed it so much and I can't wait to go to another Christmas party. But I did okay. I did okay. The food was pretty good. So, the food, when the food's good, it can make up for a multitude of sins. Actually am looking forward to the Christmas party for my office. That's going to be on this Saturday coming up. So that'll be fun. My coworker Denise is hosting that, and we're going to do Dirty Santa gift exchange, and I just love the girls I work with, and the guys. There are a couple guys there too. I really enjoy the people I work with, so that'll be fun and a breath of fresh air. I'm sure it'll be loud too, but I can handle it. Surely I can handle it. So, this past week at work, speaking of work, has been a little bit stressful. We acquired all new equipment for the spa that I work at. So we had a lot of moving out of the old, bringing in the new, a lot of laundry. We got new linens, all that kind of stuff. And along with that, change is difficult for folks, and there was a lot of kind of turmoil and stress. But I'm hoping we're beyond most of that at this point, and going forward, we have these beautiful new linens and these wonderful new tables, and possibly some new clients. So, yeah, hopefully the stressful part is done. The best part of this past week was actually yesterday. Yesterday, my sister Anna and her husband Warren and their two boys, Quentin and Banyan, came up to the mountains to get their Christmas tree. I live right smack in the middle of Christmas tree country. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see me on the weekends especially. I will count how many Christmas trees I see strapped to the tops of cars and post the Christmas tree count on my Twitter. It's just something I do every year. It's funny. It's been a lower count this year, and I think it's because my hours of working are different this year than they were last year, and I worked further away from home last year, so I had more opportunity to see all these Christmas trees. But anyway, Anna and the boys came up, and we had so much fun. Right before they arrived, I decided, I better make some Christmas cookies. So I made some basic sugar cookies and put some silver sprinkles on top, and I called them snow cookies. And here's a picture. And when they finally arrived, I live right next to a little farm, And we had called over there and asked my neighbor if we could take the boys back into the barn and into the pastures and things when they arrived. So he said, of course you can. And so Quentin is 6 and Banyan is 3.5. So we took the boys into the barn and we had such a good time. It was so funny because Banyan, the younger one, is so adventurous. He was climbing the fences and everything, and then Quentin is so much like me. he was like, I'm gonna get dirty out here. And he didn't want to step in the pastures. Of course, their pastures are not very clean. There were some droppings, and he had to actually ride piggyback on my sister's back, so he wouldn't get droppings on his shoes. That so reminded me of me at his age. I was always so cautious. I still am pretty cautious, honestly. It just kind of warmed my heart to see how much like me he is. But, yeah, Banyan was all about, oh, what's that? You know, he was going up to animals, and I had to stop him, you know, be like, you gotta, you know, make sure they're nice animals. Let me approach them first and make sure, because, as far as I know, all of the neighbors' animals are nice, and most of the ponies would shy away anyway. But at the end, I'll have I probably had some of the pictures at the beginning too, but I'll have a little slideshow of all the fun we had in the barn and the pasture. And then we went and got our Christmas tree. Actually, it wasn't our Christmas tree. We have a little artificial Christmas tree. And my sister had talked up my husband all the way up. You know, they came up from Asheville, about 2 hours away. So all the way from Asheville to Boone, my sister was telling them about my husband. Uncle Fox is a world champion Christmas tree hunter. He knows just how to grab them and wrestle them to the ground. So we thought about getting all of our camouflage stuff out and putting it on, but it was really warm yesterday. It was too hot for that. So we didn't wind up doing that. But we went to this Christmas tree farm in Vilas, the Cross Ridge Farm. It was so much fun. Such nice people. And we climbed up Christmas Tree Mountain and found the perfect one and chopped it down and brought it home. I got a wreath for my home because I love the smell, and we have an artificial tree, like I said. I had such a good time at that Christmas tree farm. We may buy a real tree next year, if they have any small enough, because I live in a tiny house. I need a tiny tree. But yes, there will be pictures, lots and lots of pictures to follow, either inserted in here or after, during the closing credits. So that's about it for this week. I hope y'all have enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back again next week with some more adventures. So until next time, may your knitting, your spinning, your crocheting, and your favorite hockey teams all stay out of the penalty box. Bye-bye.